Hello and welcome to the Black Biomechanists Association YouTube channel. My name is Skylar Holmes and I'll be your host for this amazing interview that's going to give you some insight into our organization. So to start, I'm going to introduce the backbone of our organization and our co-founders. So I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Erica Bell.
So I'm Erica Bell. I am currently a postdoc at the Mayo Clinic. I'm working in the art lab with Dr. Christian Zhao. Most of my work revolves around imaging and image-based biomedical modeling. So I work with a lot of imaging of injury, currently wrist injuries, and using 4D CT to better diagnose and track progress from surgeries for wrist injuries.
Now we'll have Dr. Matt McCullough.
Hello, Matt McCullough, formerly an associate professor of chemical, biological, and bioengineering at North Carolina A&T State University. My research area involves computational analysis, usually finite element analysis of the foot and ankle. Also have done some orthopedic design and modeling as well. And then as of about a month ago, I had the opportunity to become, to step into administration. So now I am the Associate Dean for Graduate Enrollment in our graduate college. Thanks.
All right, and last but not least, Kayla Seymore.
Hi, I am a second-year PhD student at the University of Delaware, and our lab focuses on Achilles tendinopathy, an injury of the Achilles down by your heel. My long-term research focus for my dissertation will be looking into lower limb soft tissue biomechanics, particularly with adolescents, to kind of help and guide the treatment for adolescent heel pain.
Amazing. So now we're going to get a little bit more in depth into the goals and motivations behind our association. So what would you say was the catalyst towards establishing the Black Biomechanists Association?
Oh, this is actually an idea that was in mind for a lot of years. It just took a while to get it up and running. So if I can be very quick, I knew Kayla as a graduate student at East Carolina University. We both started the same year, but I was starting in my PhD program while she started in her master's. And then eventually I get introduced to Matt McCullough. He was a longtime friend of my PhD advisor. And he put me in touch with him mostly because he was a fellow Black biomechanist, and he thought that he would be a great additional mentor for me. And so Matt and I had only talked really electronically or on the telephone for probably the first 2 years that we knew each other. And then we met at ASB in 2015. And so we had talked in person and kind of hung out during the conference. And we kept talking more and more about how we really need support for Black biomechanists. And so we kind of just got the idea like, hey, let's just informally say we're gonna, anybody who's a Black biomechanist that's here at ASB this year, and this was 2015, so it was at Ohio State, come and meet us in the lobby and talk to us. And so we came out there, and I believe we talked to 2 people, one person that willingly came up and talked to us, the other that we ran and tracked down across the lobby. But I mean, it was just enough at least to see someone else that was there that was also Black in biomechanics, because we don't really see that very often. Kayla and I were lucky enough to be grad students together. So anytime we travel to the conference, we had a built-in buddy. We knew that there was going to be another Black biomechanist there. But a lot of our other students and faculty in biomechanics don't really have that, and they don't know who else is here. So Matt and I continued to talk about this idea for a lot of years, but there was just kind of no place really for us to situate ourselves. And so Kayla's going to give a little more background as to why we decided to really establish ourselves last year. But it was just, we decided instead of trying to fit in somewhere or under a society, that we would just break out and just do our own thing. And so here we are now.
And like Erica said, there was kind of a real push in 2020 after the aftermath and the tensions and around the political and social injustices that we're seeing against Black communities in the US and globally by a lot of non-Black people, that kind of awakened this and galvanized this movement of creating social justice for Black people. And so with that, we felt like we could really make an impact in our professional careers. And while a lot of organizations and societies in biomechanics had made statements that kind of pledged to support Black people and Black scientists specifically, we really felt like the action couldn't be done without us. So it needed our critical involvement, and particularly of Black and minority voices to get that done. And so, you know, in brief, we really thought it could be important for us to form this organization to inform the societies that are already created to help biomechanists, but also to bridge the gap between the disparities, particularly health disparities that exist in the Black community and Brown communities, and really improve the science from the perspective, or from the perspective of Black individuals. So yeah, just as scientists, we just felt it was a really strong need to organize ourselves and empower other Black scientists to be successful, to kind of improve the biomechanics and the health of the global and national communities.
Amazing answers. It's really appreciated that we've started this community within ourselves in biomechanics. And so my next question for all of you is, what do you hope the Black Biomechanists Association will provide to the biomechanics community?
We have a range of goals and objectives, and really when we come back to them, that really guides kind of what we're planning to provide to the biomechanics community as a whole. One of our objectives, or goals, if you will, is to provide a supportive environment to discuss the challenges, needs, and interests of Black biomechanists.
I guess continuing on with that, one of the other objectives that we have, and I think is one of the, it's an objective because it was one of the initial ideas that came up for us. So that objective is to provide resources that encourage visibility, increase engagement, and empower Black biomechanists. So like I was saying in our origin story, that when we go to these conferences, a lot of times we don't see other people who look like us, and we are there, but we don't know where to find these people. And not only just to see them at the conferences, but also to know what kind of work are they doing, the papers that they're publishing, different things like that. It's really important to increase the visibility that we are here, that we are in the biomechanics community, because seeing us not only promotes our work, but it also helps to show other young Black students or young aspiring Black scientists who are coming up that this is an option and this is a path that they can take, because a lot of times they don't know that that's available. So that's a big part of kind of our second objective, to increase that invisibility, increase engagement, get our younger students involved earlier, and empower the Black biomechanists that already currently reside in this biomechanics field.
And lastly, our objective is to aid the biomechanics community as a whole in their efforts to achieve diversity, equity, and inclusivity. It's, like I said, really important for us to be involved heavily in the efforts that the biomechanics community is making to really diversify the workplace, the academic environment, provide equitable resources for Black students, Black faculty, Black staff, and be more inclusive in the spaces that are currently in positions of power that are currently held by non-Black or people of color. So all the things that we do in this organization are really to aid in those efforts of the biomechanics community as a whole.
Amazing answers, everyone. So now that we've established how we got here and what we're really trying to do in this association, where do you see the trajectory of the Black Biomechanists Association within the next 5 years?
Personally, I'm really excited for us to become a official nonprofit organization and really have an impact and support Black biomechanists at a larger scale. And so by establishing this, we can be able to be sponsored and take donations and impact people's lives in a more tangible way than just offering our, I guess, emotional support. We can actually, fund their research or help them get to conferences and kind of break these systemic barriers that keep Black and Brown individuals out of biomechanics. So that's where what I'm really looking forward to in the future.
One of the biggest things for me is I really like to educate. I've noticed that about myself as I've gone through this. So I lead our communications team. So I am responsible for putting together our monthly newsletter and for helping to get information out on the social media. And so I take a strong interest in really educating the biomechanics community on topics that specifically affect Black and Brown individuals in this space. So a lot of times, a lot of us are located at PWIs and we have non-Black mentors or professors or things like that. And a lot of them who we consider our allies are asking, how can they help? What can they do? How can they understand and help kind of eliminate or even reduce some of these barriers that we're seeing? And a lot of it comes back to, you have to educate yourself on what the issues are and how they affect the Black scientists that you have, the Black and Brown scientists that you have that are in your environment. And so I really love being able to put together this information and resources for the greater biomechanics community so they can better know how to help us as Black scientists. And also just for those who feel sometimes that they can't say anything or they don't know how to put that information out there, I don't mind doing it for them in a way that is palatable for everybody to read and understand. So one of the things I'm just excited about is to just see kind of this information just continuing to be put out into the biomechanics community, and hopefully the changes that can come about that, because people who normally aren't used to hearing such information coming straight from our voices are now getting that opportunity to hear that and to really put into action more, instead of just emotionally, like Kayla was saying, instead of just kind of emotionally supporting, but actually being able to have the power and the knowledge to help make these changes that are necessary.
Really excited to see that when all these things are accomplished, we'll have different meetings, be they American Society of Biomechanics, ACSM, where we just see increased diversity, and more specifically, we see more Black people involved in the organizations, in the science, in the engineering, and we'll be in a situation where everything may not be perfect, but we'll be present. We'll know that we are supported. We know that you basically have you have family that has your back. And so I'm just really excited to see that, because I know that is definitely on the horizon.
So now that we have a really good background about our organization, how can someone provide support to the Black Biomechanists Association?
We definitely appreciate support, and we want support. As you've heard about the newsletter that Erica does a wonderful job. There's a lot of different ways that you can be supportive of the BBA, as we like to call it. First and foremost, we'd love for you to become a member. And there's membership information. You can easily get that by reaching out to one of us. Right now, it is free to join, and allies are welcome. Allies are welcome. So even if you are potentially may not be a Black person, but you believe in what we're doing, we definitely welcome you to join the organization. It's an easy form, takes about probably less than 5 minutes, and we can get you quickly integrated into our committee work, into our Slack channels, and all the wonderful events that we have coming up, and especially with conferences. It's a great opportunity to link up with us. We also have a strong social media presence thanks to our communications committee. So you can follow us on Twitter or on Instagram. And it's the @Black Biomechs. And that's a great way to hear about not only the information, get information about what we're doing, but we also do membership spotlights, and you get to learn some awesome information about biomechanics and Black people who have made an impact in the field. And of course, you can find the, you'll be able to find information via our email, as well as any membership links, probably in the notes that'll be posted for this video. So a lot of different ways to get involved. And like we said, if you believe in what we're doing, we welcome you to join us in the Black Biomechanists Association.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this interview with our founders and you got to learn a little bit more about us as an association. We're going to have all of our socials linked in the description below, and we hope you join us on our journey as we continue to grow. Thank you.